Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I am going to break down or give my thoughts on the Overwatch League Summer Showdown. Of course, there were two tournaments, the APAC tournament and the North America tournament. So we're going to jump into these and talk about them. We're going to start with Asia. Asia was the shorter tournament, fewer matches, fewer teams. So let's throw up my bracket where you can see my predictions and then where I got things right and where I got things wrong. Pretty good bracket for me. The only thing I got wrong was the finals, which isn't that really surprising to me. I said last week that I figured that the way that this bracket was going to go was the one that was most likely to result in a team other than the defending champions winning, but still felt like it was very easy to predict at the same time. It was weird. But the bracket went almost exactly as I expected it to, with the one major exception being that the Guangzhou Charge were able to take the tournament from the Shanghai Dragons in a 4-2 fashion. But we'll jump back to the quarterfinals. London Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty, not super close. Seoul Dynasty, pretty convincing win from them over the London Spitfire. Wasn't the worst match, but it was certainly one where the Seoul Dynasty looks to be in control the entire time. The Guangzhou Charge dominant over the Chengdu Hunters, not even a close series. New York Excelsior dominant win over the Hangzhou Spark. 3-0s there. About what I expected. Shanghai Dragons against the Seoul Dynasty. It was a 3-0, but it was a competitive 3-0. I believe there was one draw in there, so it was 4 maps, but 3 map wins for the Shanghai Dragons and 1 draw. The Guangzhou Charge completely stomped the NYXL. Obviously, I'm an NYXL fan, so I am, biased towards their successes and their failures. And I'm curious to see some more thoughts on what New York is doing wrong, because there's obviously things they're doing wrong and things they're doing right when they win. To me, they feel in many ways like the Philadelphia Fusion this season. Because I feel like the NYXL is a very weird team and interesting team to follow and look at and watch. Because I get the feeling that both New York and Philadelphia are really good teams who can compete with the best teams in the league, because they are among the best teams in the league. But they lack polish. They lack the strong team play and team skill that we see from a number of other top teams like the Guangzhou Charge, like the Shanghai Dragons, and I think that's what holds them back. When they go up against a team who's not that good, the reason why they're able to find wins so consistently is because they're just more talented than everybody else. But they lack a lot of very strong team coordination and polish. I've seen a number of people say that they're, a team that just takes a long time to adapt to a meta, which is also, I think, very true. I think they're a team who it takes them a little while to figure out what they want to do and figure out their style. When you don't have as much time to do that now, this meta doesn't really work for New York as well. I saw a lot of people pick New York to make the finals of this tournament, and I didn't see it. I thought that Guangzhou looked significantly better recently. Haksal on the Genji looked good when they played the Hangzhou Spark, but I have too many concerns. I think that they have had a very, 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 very hard time finding success with the tank line this season. They did better early on in the season when they were playing against pretty weak competition, but in Asia, I think the tank line have looked way weaker than what they did at the beginning of the season. And I've been very vocal about my opinions about Hotba. I think that the New York Excelsior have to try something different with Flex Tank. They have Bianca on the roster. He's never played. I'm not a proponent of having players on your roster that you never play. The Guangzhou Charge never played Wea. I think they should play Wea, even if it's only for 1 or 2 maps. Here and there, I just think you should play players on your team. You sign them, you should play them. It's an interesting team to follow, I think, because I don't really know what to make from them. But they once again get swept in the semifinals, but lose to the team who ultimately wins the tournament. So it's the type of situation where you get disappointed in New York because they don't look that great. They struggle. They don't find the success, but then also they lose to the team who wins the tournament. So you go, well, then maybe they are doing just fine. I don't really know. But the finals were a very, very, very interesting match because they were pretty one-sided, to be completely honest with you. It was a 4-2 win for the Guangzhou Charge. The I should say the Shanghai Dragons would have had to reverse sweep to win the series. It was a 3-0 lead for the Guangzhou Charge after 3 maps. Shanghai wins the following 2 maps, and then Guangzhou finishes off the series on Blizzard World. And I know there's going to be a lot of discussion and conversation surrounding one thing in particular regarding the Shanghai Dragons. That is going to be their decision to play DM for all 4 of the maps that they lost and play Lip for the 2 maps that they won. Because that lineup that they've had with Lip in, with Fleta Lip, Fearless, Void, Izayaki, and Lee Jae-gon have lost, in total, this entire season, 1 map. And the two maps that they had those 6 in against the Guangzhou Charge, they won. They have a over 95% map win rate with that lineup in the playing. And they played DM for 4 out of the 6 maps of the series. And I know a lot of people are going to look at that as the big reason why Shanghai lost. It obviously played a factor in them losing, not because DM is a bad player. DM is far from a bad player. DM is one of the best players. One of the best hit scan players, I think, in the league. It's, I think, more of a matter of the way they play around Lip is what they're used to doing. And I think that they probably don't have the same synergy when DM is in the lineup. Because you look and you say, well, DM was on this team last season. He was. But which of the starters on this Shanghai Dragons team was on this team last season? Fleta wasn't. Fearless wasn't. Well, he was at the beginning of the season, but he never played a game for them before he had to leave for health reasons. Void wasn't. Izayaki was at the very end. Lee Jae-gon wasn't. So you look at this team, and I think they just have built so much synergy up when Lip is playing that that's really the difference maker. I think they need to spend more time if they're going to run Widowmaker-centric metas, just building up the synergy with DM. I think over time that it's just going to get better, and they're going to learn to play around it. I don't think DM played particularly poorly. I certainly think that there was obviously reasons with him in that they lost, and also reasons why they played him, even though they were losing with him in the lineup. I don't think that Fleta played particularly well in the Genji duel. I thought Eileen was dominating that Genji matchup. I also don't think Fearless played particularly well on Orisa. He didn't play awful. His Orisa's fine. But when he is able to play the Reinhardt and the Winston especially, he's significantly better. There's a noticeable rise in his play when he's able to play those heroes. Even the last map that they played, the Blizzard World map, Shanghai looked really good. Their defense was incredible. It was impressive. Their attack wasn't very good, and Guangzhou managed to pull off the win because of that. But it was a very, very, very good match from the Guangzhou Charge, and I don't want to take it away from them. I think a lot of teams and a lot of fans look and they see, what did our team do wrong to lose, rather than what did the other team do well for them to win. I think the Guangzhou Charge found a meta that really worked for them. They played very, very well. They played very cleanly. They have one of the best flex tanks in the league with Krong. They have an incredible DPS duo with Happy and Eileen. They have incredible supports. Shu especially is one of my favorite flex supports in the league. This was a very, 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 very good meta for a very good Guangzhou Charge team. They took advantage of it. I don't think the Shanghai Dragons are as comfortable when they are playing the Genji. And I think, of course, they want to play Lib as much as possible. If they think that DM is their best option on the Widowmaker, I don't think that they should switch off of that. Personally, especially now, right? You may say, oh, it's a tournament. You have to really put your all into a tournament. I think if you're the Shanghai Dragons, you recognize how good your team is. Long term, you want to be able to have DM be able to pop off if you need him for maps in potential Overwatch League 2020 Grand Final scenarios, right? Do you want Lip matching up against Ants, or do you want DM matching up against Ants, right? If you think DM is the best Widowmaker, and you think DM is the player that you need matching up against Ants, well, then I think that you should probably work DM into the lineup more. And that's my guess for what they were doing. So I don't personally have an issue with them playing DM. I think they recognize that they got to the finals. They are going to do what they think is best. I don't want to say the blame falls entirely on DM. Obviously, it's more of a coaching decision, I think. You just have to work with it. But credit to the Guangzhou Charge. They played very well. They deserve everything that they did. They deserve all the praise for what they did. That is my feelings on that. So that's the Asia bracket. Let's move on to the North America bracket, the much more crazy and weird and unexpected bracket. This was insane. So as you can see, a lot of X's. Round 1, the only thing I got correct was the Paris Eternal beating the Dallas Fuel. There were tons and tons and tons of upsets throughout the whole tournament, but in that round in particular, there's a lot. And none of them are really surprising. It's just surprising that they all happened, in my opinion, right? Houston almost beat Florida when they played last week, so it's not that surprising to see a team say, okay, we got picked again. We almost won this past week. We just have to polish our play and come back and win. And they did exactly that. They looked very good. The Gladiators did not look good when they beat the Justice last week. I said so in the video. I said the Gladiators did not give me any promise based on how they performed. They lost to a Justice team that, while not great, have proven themselves to be more than capable. And they've improved a lot. I think the Justice are a team who, going into next season, they make a couple major roster moves. New main tank, some more depth at DPS, probably a couple additions to their support line. I think that they, could be a competitive team. The Defiant beating the Valiant, very good meta for the Defiant, and obviously problems in the Valiant. They're not problems that I think are, player-based problems. They are players who needed a break, players who needed they were struggling a little bit mental health-wise. They took a break. There was a lot of just people who were just flat out wrong, talking about this on Twitter and talking about this on streams and whatnot, saying like, oh, it's just a typical Korean flex support thing. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's just that you have players who needed mental health breaks, who had been struggling a bit, busy, grinding outside of their home country for months in the middle of a pandemic. That's the kind of stuff that happens. But the Defiant played well as well. I mean, the Defiant looked good. The Defiant made it to the semi-finals. Now, obviously, my bracket here, you don't see a good look at that. But luckily, there's just a bracket for it anyway that you can just look at, and you will see what happened. So this is the actual bracket. Very, very, very crazy bracket that did not go anywhere near what I think most people expected it to go, especially when you look at that first round with all these upsets. It was a really good tournament. Like the NA one was incredible. I think that when you consider everything that happened, all these upsets made it really interesting. Like I said, none of them were surprising upsets. What's surprising is that all of them happened. But it also kind of set up for relatively weak quarterfinals, except for the quarterfinals, except for the Toronto Defiant versus Atlanta Reign, which is pretty exciting. San Francisco dominated Washington. Paris pretty much dominated Vancouver. Philadelphia dominated Houston. They were pretty one-sided. Semifinals, you set up, you got Philadelphia, Toronto. Toronto's run comes to an end against a very good Philadelphia Fusion team. But if you're the Toronto Defiant, right, this is the type of thing that the tournament was made for. This tournament style where you have teams that get wins based on how they perform. If they get to the semifinals, they get a win. This is huge for the Defiant. The Defiant gain a win to their record when they were a team who were struggling. They weren't playing that well going up into this. They were struggling a bit, and they managed to get a win added to their record based on how they played in this tournament. Right? That could be huge for them. That could be something that pushes them into the top 12, or whatever the standings are going to need to be for the playoffs and play-in tournament at the end of the season. We don't know yet. They haven't announced the format yet for that. I expect that sometime this month, because that's when they said they would announce it. So the Toronto Defiance performance is 100% what this tournament was made for. It was to help the teams that have been struggling, right? You also see it help a team like the Paris Eternal, who have been a good team, a solid team, who have struggled here and there, but they come out and have an incredible tournament. They didn't sweep a single team. They had to fight every single team they played. They had to fight for every single victory, right? 3-1 over Dallas, 3-1 over Vancouver. Relatively one-sided series, but they still had to, they dropped maps here and there. 3-2 against the Shock. Sparkle's heroics pull it off. One of the greatest matches of all time. An incredible series. Then they have to play, after just playing 5 matches, or 5 maps against the Shock, they play 7 against the Philadelphia Fusion. Fielder, bless that man's heart, Fielder was up at 4 a.m. to play from 4 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Korean time to have this victory. And you got to feel for him because all of his other teammates are in North America. They're together. They're celebrating together. And poor Fielder is just alone in Korea. He can't celebrate with anybody. You got to feel for him. But Paris has played since, the beginning of June. He didn't even play in the end of May because he didn't turn 18 until May 31st. There were no games going on then. So he's only been playing for like a month. And he's already one of the best players in the league. So it's really difficult to say, is he Rookie of the Year? I think of the Paris Eternal continue to be just this really top-tier dominant team now that Sparkle's in, and Sparkle just continues having these dominant performances. I think then you can put him in the argument of Rookie of the Year, even though he didn't play the whole season. You still have players like Alarm, and you still have players like Lip, and you still have players like Yaki, and Krong, who are definitely in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. But Sparkle has been incredible, and Sparkle was insane this tournament. So was Exy. I mean, this Paris Eternal team is mostly rookies anyway. You look at, when they roll out their lineup, right? With the exception of Soon, Nico, Benbest, and No Smite, this team is all rookies. And usually, they only have one non-rookie in at a time, and that's their main tank. They played a little bit of Nico and Soon against Philadelphia. They played Nico for 1 map, Soon for 2 maps. But Exy, Sparkle, they're rookies. Hanbin, he's a rookie. FD God's a rookie. Fielder's a rookie playing from 200 ping Korea, right? Like, this is an incredible team who are a really young team who have shown to be incredible, have shown to be insane players, and they were able to beat the Shock and the Fusion. If you look at the teams this season who have managed to beat both the San Francisco Shock and the Philadelphia Fusion, there's only one, and it's the Paris Eternal. You cannot stress enough how incredible their tournament run was. And let me just say, both of these series against the Shock and the Fusion were incredible. I mean, the series against the Fusion was 3.5 hours long. It was incredibly long. And this is after just playing like a 2.5 hour series against the Shock. So they played pretty much 6 straight hours of Overwatch. Just non-stop 6 hours of just punishment, close battles. It was an incredible tournament, and it's what really makes these tournaments so good. When you get these matches that really mean something. You always have weekends when you're watching the Overwatch League where you have 1 to 2 matches that are really good, and then every other match is just really bad. And a lot of the time, those matches end up kind of being, strewn about throughout the week, right? Like you have your best matches early in the week, or, your best matches are at the very end of the week, or their best matches are the first match of Sunday, but then the other good match is like the third match on Saturday. It's always really weird like that, but tournaments always make for better matches as the series progresses. As the tournament progresses, you get better and better matches, right? And that's what I think the tournaments are so good about, and that's why the playoffs are so good. And I'm so glad these tournaments are in. I was really skeptical about them at first. I loved the May Melee. I think the Summer Showdown was way better than the May Melee. The May Melee was kind of like it was expected. Nothing really was surprising during the May Melee. Yeah, Shanghai had the reverse sweep against Seoul. That was pretty surprising, but we expected Shanghai to win. Yeah, Florida Mayhem had the upset against Fusion. No one really thought the Mayhem could do anything. They had a good series against the Shock, but at the end of the day, the Shock ended up winning. Wasn't that surprising. But this tournament, this Summer Showdown, was insane. It was completely unexpected. Things went completely off script. Nothing went the way that it was planned or expected to go. And that is what made it so good. I loved this tournament. I can't even stress enough how enjoyable it was. And it's great to see some of these teams who have been struggling get wins. The Justice, the Defiant, the Outlaws. These are teams who are proving themselves to be better teams than where we thought they were a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And I think that it really makes for a very interesting look at where the North America region is right now. And I think that what we're seeing is that the North America region is super competitive. The Asia region is competitive in a sense as well, but I don't think it's in the same way as North America. North America felt like there was competition for who would make the finals. I thought it was a pretty clear shock tournament. I thought, even though I think that you have good teams like Philadelphia and Paris and the Valiant and the Mayhem, I still felt like no one was good enough to stop the shock. I'm glad to say that I was wrong because it made for a way better tournament. But in Asia, I don't think it is as competitive, right? I think you kind of have like your top 4 teams who are going to kind of play each other, and they're going to beat each other in a way that you'd expect. Shanghai's going to beat almost everybody and maybe occasionally lose to Guangzhou. Guangzhou's going to beat everybody except for usually Shanghai, and occasionally maybe New York, but usually they're going to beat New York. New York is going to beat everybody for the most part, except for, Shanghai and Guangzhou, and, so on and so forth. It just kind of goes down the list where the teams that you expect to win usually win. It's not very often that you see anything otherwise. And the Summer Showdown bracket for Asia kind of perfectly captured that. But North America was incredible. It was a really, really, really great tournament. If you haven't watched the Fusion Eternal match or the Eternal Shock match, I highly recommend you go watch them. At least watch the highlights. I don't think they are out yet as of me recording this video. They might be out as of me uploading this video. They are out. I take that back. They are out. At least the one with the Eternal Shock is out. Please do yourselves a favor and watch the highlights. I mean, the EQO's Dragon Blade at the end of Rialto is one of the most insane things I have ever seen in my entire life. And what happened after that is even more heartbreaking. But this is a great tournament. I'll have some power rankings later this week, probably Wednesday and Friday. If not, potentially Friday and next Monday. But I want to try to get them out this week. So be on the lookout for those. But that is everything that I have for you today. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. And I am looking forward to talking to you in the next couple weeks about our next tournament, the Countdown Cup. But until then, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.